Hey everybody, good morning to you. Sunnyvale Rejects back in the house with yet another video. But not just another video. Today we're going to classify as a author spotlight. And today's author spotlight is James Patterson. That's right, James Patterson. I know you've heard about him, you've probably read his books, you've definitely seen the movies. But if you haven't, maybe I can pique your interest and influence you to pick up one. And if you have, maybe we can take your knowledge of Patterson a little bit deeper. James Patterson gets a lot of flack for being, in industry, somebody who writes for money and not for, content or trying to appease their readers. But that's simply not true. He gives a many shits about literacy in this country. In fact, he's sort of a philanthropist, donating tons of money and books to literacy efforts in this country. And I think it all started because of his son, Jack. He was smart, went to a good school, but he wasn't a big reader. And when he was about 8 years old, they came up with a rule in the house: no screens before you read. You don't have to mow the grass, but you got to read books. And I love that. I love the fact that he cares about whether or not people read, because if you don't read books and you're reading and you're not understanding it, how are you going to make it through high school? And we do have a problem in this country. So James Patterson, he was born in upstate New York. He's 78 years old and he lives in Palm Beach, right across the bridge from me now. And he works out of a mansion there. And sometimes this dude is working on 30 or 40 manuscripts at a time. He attended college at Vanderbilt and got his BA. He got his MA from Manhattan University. Not long after that, he went into advertising and he worked for I think at the J. Walter Thompson ad agency as a copywriter. And within a couple of years, he had moved up to CEO, which is that's pretty quick, in the hierarchy of business. I mean, people don't normally move up that fast, so that says a lot about him. In his first book, The Thomas Berryman Number, is that what it was? The Thomas Berryman Number? I have some notes here. I think that's what it was. Anyway, he sent that book out to over 30 publishers and it was denied and turned down by every single one, but he did not stop. And finally a publisher picked it up, and guess what? It won an Edgar. In an interview, and there's a lot of great interviews, he even taught a master class, which I highly recommend. But in an interview, they said, well, why did it take your work so long to take off? And he said, well, a lot of things happened. While he was in New York working, he met a girl. I think her name was Jane Blanchard. I think, let me make sure that's right. Jane Blanchard. Yeah, that's right. And unfortunately, she got sick with cancer, had a brain tumor. And once they discovered it, for the next 2 years, she was dying. So it just devastated him and brought him down. And I think writing took a back seat to taking care of this girl while she died. And she was young and it broke his heart. He said when she died, he was devastated and cried every night. But when his grandfather passed away, he really couldn't cry. That's tough to hear, man. Time out. Fast forward to the future, he's written over 70 bestsellers. Can you imagine that? He has sold over 450 million copies and he's worth $500 million. But back to what they were saying about him being in industry, it might look like that. That sounds like something somebody jealous of his success would say. Oh, he's not a real writer. He's all about the money. But that's not true. He's fortunate enough, like Stephen King, to be able to do something he loves. And, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. So, look, that's enough of the backstory on James Patterson. Let's look at some of these books here. Let's start with 1980's Standalone. This is Cradle and All, and he's got some really good looking books. Some of the covers are similar in ways, but he is of the belief that if they don't like the book, they'll never pick it up. And how can they buy it if they don't pick it up? So let's start. Here we go. Cradle and All. Look at these big, beautiful hardbacks. These books are 300 plus pages, but the font is big and the chapters are small like that. So it feels like you're reading a big chunky book, but actually it's not that long and it's very, very quick, entertaining, thrilling reads that you really just can't put down. And I'm not the sage on the stage. I'm not sitting here claiming that I know everything about Patterson. I really just got into his work by reading When the Wind Blows. I was blown away by When the Wind Blows. More on that later, but it just piqued my interest. I picked up The Lake House, and the rest is history. I'm a fan. So Cradle and All came out in 1980. It is a standalone. And it says here, in Boston, a young woman finds herself pregnant, even though she is still a virgin. In Ireland, another young woman discovers she is in the same impossible condition. And in cities all around the world, medical authorities are overwhelmed by epidemics, droughts, famines, floods, and worse. It all feels like a sign that something awful is coming. It is. One is the Son of God. One is the son of Satan. But who, what, when, where? Read the book and find out. And here's the When the Wind Blows books, which spawned the Maximum Ride books, which is an adult series. Starts with When the Wind Blows. I just finished this. Beautiful, beautiful hardback book. Now this book is well, it's about a school in Colorado that's doing genetic research and genetic modifications on children. For example, some are born without faces, and they're called, I can't remember what they're called, but they're used for parts. Some are born with wings. Now, does this have a military application? Who knows? But it's very, very secret work, and those that find out and run their little mouths, they don't live too long. It's When the Wind Blows, and it's a great, fun, thrilling book. I loved it. I really couldn't put it down. And I was reading this at the same time I was reading Memnoch the Devil. Memnoch had, you know, I don't know, it just slowed down, so I picked up When the Wind Blows, and I couldn't stop reading it. I loved it. But on the inside flap it says, Franny O'Neill is the young and talented veterinarian living in Colorado, plagued by the mysterious murder of her husband, David, a local doctor. Franny throws herself into her work. It is not long before another bizarre murder occurs, and Kit Harrison, a troubled and unconventional FBI agent, arrives on her doorstep. You're going to like these characters, really. He'll admit, you know, Patterson will admit that he's not a stylist, but he does develop characters. He does just enough, let's say that. Just enough character development, just enough plot, just enough research to not bog you down in details, but to keep you turning pages and to make sure you have a vested interest in the characters and how things resolve themselves. And you're having fun. And he says himself, while he's writing something, if he doesn't like it or he's not having fun, he trashes it and starts anew. Writer's block, he says, is something he's allergic to. Okay, so here's part 2. You see my bookmark in there because I'm reading this, but this is part 2 of the When the Wind Blows books. This is called The Lake House. If you see that spine, you know, you probably grab it. It stands out. It's pretty. The gold and the blue there and the red, just bold and classy. The Lake House. 6 extraordinary children are trying to lead normal lives in the Rocky Mountain countryside. They live in different homes with different families, but there is something powerful that connects them, something that puts them in terrible danger. The only time they've ever felt safe was when they were together in the waterfront cabin they call the Lake House. And the only people they've ever trusted are Franny and Kit, the couple who rescued them from unimaginable evil once before. That's right. Okay, so yeah, I'll go ahead and talk about this one, and then we'll get into the Alex Cross books I have. This is James Patterson's Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas. I heard a lot of terrible, terrible things about this book. Most folks can't believe that Patterson wrote this. They say the characters are too perfect, it's unbelievable, and a lot of the words they use, like when they play jokes or something like that, they might call it a goof. They say people don't really talk like that. But here's the thing. We don't know everybody. We don't know everything about everybody. Some people talk like this. Some people talk like that. Just let yourself go. Don't have any inhibitions. Don't have any trepidation. Just read the book and go where the author takes you. One of the things I've noticed about the kids I teach today is that if there's no cell phones or no mention of rappers that they know or shoes that they like, they're not into it. Whereas my generation could read a Dostoevsky or a Dickens or a Faulkner book and not bitch and moan and complain because there's not cars and cell phones and stuff like that in it. We just accepted it for what it was and learned from it. If you can hear that noise in the background, that is a cricket in my tarantula cage, and he's giving it hell. He does not want to die. Crickets make a lot of noise. But I have to read this book. As I said in a short video the other day, bad publicity is better than none, and sometimes I gotta see what all the hubbub is about. And this is one of those books that I said, I'm gonna check it out for myself, and I can always give this to a student, you know? Speaking of giving, Patterson is a philanthropist. He donated half a million, half a million? I think it's 500,000 books to schools all over the United States. He set up scholarships all over the place, and he's donated money to all kinds of causes, based on literacy, and even independent bookstores. When you have conglomerates like Books A Million, Barnes and Noble, and Amazon, especially Amazon out there selling books for nothing, it puts independent bookstores at risk. And he's a defender of independent bookshops. I really, really dig that. This guy's priorities seem like they're in the right place. All right, so what's this about? Katie Wilkinson has found her perfect man at last. He's a writer, an original thinker, everything she's imagined she wanted in a partner. But one day, without explanation, he disappears from her life, leaving behind only a diary for her to read. This diary is a love letter written by a new mother named Suzanne. In it, she pours out her heart about how she and her child's father met, about her hopes for marriage and family, and about the unparalleled joy that having a baby has brought into her life. As Katie reads the touching document, it becomes clear that the lover who has just left her is the husband and father in this young family. She reads on, filled with terror and hope, and as she struggles to understand what has happened and whether her new love has a prayer of surviving. I don't know, it sounds interesting to me, especially if you've ever been through some stuff in your life, you know. It's good to read books you can resonate with and relate to, you know. Not much going on in the spine or the back of the book, but yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. We're getting now into the Alex Cross series. Alex Cross spawned 35 books. The Women's Murder Club, hell, has 28 books, and the Michael Bennett books, there's 18 of those. And even Allie Cross, a character in the Alex Cross series, spawned 3 books. So the man is a machine, just pumping out the books. He gets to his home office at like 5:30. He works 7 days a week, and you gotta appreciate that. Alex Cross himself was based on a black family that he knew when he was a kid because his grandparents owned a little restaurant. A black lady was an employee there, and she was going through some really tough stuff with her husband, and the family welcomed her into their house, and she lived with him for a couple of years, and he was very fond of her personality traits, her family. He just admired her family. They were honest, good, hardworking people. And he based Alex Cross and his family, especially the grandmother, off of this family. So that's really cool because you find out that a lot of fiction writers, everything they do is loosely based on the truth. Loosely based on the truth. All right, I'm shutting up. We're going to look at some Alex Cross books. And all the James Patterson books you see here, these are the books that I bought because I'm going to read them. These are the only ones that piqued my interest enough from reading the blurbs and the flaps and all that to buy them because there's so many of them. But this should give me a well-rounded worldview when it comes to Patterson. So, first on the list, Along Came a Spider. Look at this. After Jane died, you know, he really kind of just gave himself over to his work, became totally dedicated in it, and said, you know what, I'm going to sit down and write a bestseller. And simple. Keep it simple, stupid. That's his motto. Keep it simple. Along Came a Spider was the product of that, and the rest is history. Along Came a Spider. I've always liked that color. That purple and silver, also purple and gold. Just a beautiful color combination. I'm telling you, this will get your attention. All right, so let's see. Well, I don't know how to pronounce this last name, but Gary Sinigi is a mild-mannered mathematics teacher at a Washington, D.C. private school for the children of the political and social elite. He's so popular that the kids all call him Mr. Chips. Mr. Chips, that sounds familiar. And he's very, very smart. Growing up, he always knew he was smarter than the rest of them. He knew that the great ones always fooled everybody. He kidnaps Maggie Rose, the golden-haired daughter of a famous movie actress, and her best friend, Shrimpy Goldberg, the son of the Secretary of the Treasury, right out from under the noses of their two Secret Service agents. But Gary Sinigi is not surprised at his skill. He's done it before. Hundreds of times. That rascal. We can't tolerate that. The FBI's got to get their ass in gear, right, y'all? All right, that's Along Came a Spider. And then we got Kiss the Girls, the ugliest copy of a James Patterson book I have. It's got stickers on it. It's not embossed. What the hell did they send me this for? But it's Kiss the Girls. Kiss the Girls. Did you see the movie? Have you read the book? What do you like? What do you not like about Patterson? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you for everything. I love you. Please like and subscribe and tell your homies about the Sunnyvale Reject. First came the #1 bestseller, Along Came a Spider. Now comes James Patterson's masterpiece, Kiss the Girls. A brilliant medical intern named Kate McTiernan disappears in a picturesque college town. A Los Angeles Times investigative reporter is murdered in her home. Two chillingly clever killers are operating, maybe even cooperating. They have in the past. Serial killers have done that in the past. One calls himself Casanova. He collects beautiful, intelligent women off college campuses from the Carolinas to Florida. Be on the lookout, y'all. Stephen King's mother one time asked him why he liked evil, dark stuff and serial killers, because he was collecting newspaper clippings on this one serial killer. And he couldn't really articulate himself at that age, and he admitted that he's a much better writer than he is a speaker. But he said, it's because I wanted to be able to recognize him. If I ever crossed paths with him, I'd know who he was, and I'd know to stay away. Makes sense. Pop goes the weasel. Hear the cricket? Not much longer, just bear with me. I wonder how the spider feels. It's Pop Goes the Weasel, though. Beautiful copy, except for that indentation right there, but it's not torn or anything like that. I got this off of Amazon for like $6, and it's worth it. You can read them and return them. Make sure they're in good shape, though. Pop Goes the Weasel. Detective Alex Cross is back, and he's in love, but his happiness is threatened by a series of chilling murders in Washington, D.C. Murders with a pattern so twisted it leaves investigators reeling. Cross's ingenious pursuit of the killer produces a suspect, a British diplomat named Jeffrey Schaefer, but proving that Schaefer is the murderer becomes a potentially deadly risk as the diplomat engages in a brilliant series of surprising countermoves in and out of the courtroom. Alex and his fiancée become hopelessly entangled with the most memorable nemesis Alex Cross has ever faced. Is Pop Goes the Weasel. Again, they're similar, but they still stand out. I really like the bold font on the cover. And what do you think about old Jamie Pat there with his sweater on, looking swarthy? Swarthy. Pop Goes the Weasel, y'all. Look at this one. Roses are red. Roses are red. My God, there he is again. Confident, self-assured. He said when he wakes up, he never has any idea what he's going to do because he doesn't know who or what he's going to invent, what story he's going to tell. And I think he makes somewhere around $95 million a year. Imagine if that was your life. Would you give a shit if somebody was saying you were in the industry, or would you just keep on keeping on? But $95 million a year to wake up and do whatever the hell you want. And you live in Palm Beach. You know what? One day I'll drive by his house and I'll film it for y'all and I'll show y'all a video. I know where it is based on an interview I saw the other day, and the pool house is across the street. I know exactly where it is. Its roses are red. Let's see. In this heart-pounding but touchingly romantic new thriller, Detective Alex Cross pursues the most complex and brilliant killer he's ever confronted, a mysterious criminal who calls himself the Mastermind. In a series of crimes that has stunned Washington, D.C., bank robbers have been laying out precise demands when they enter the building and then killing the bank employees and their families if those instructions are not followed to the letter. Detective Alex Cross is on the case, though. No worries. He'll get it done. He'll find out who they are and he'll take care of them and make sure they pay. I got this from a lending library, man. Can you believe that? Somebody left this book in a lending library. And unfortunately, I didn't have a book to leave. I just took this because I had to. It was beautiful and it called to me. But I will the next time I'm there because I feel guilty. All right? But this is Roses Are Red. You have to know what's next. It's Violets Are Blue. It's Violets Are Blue, and it's the last book I have in the Alex Cross series, and it's the last little Jamie Pat book I have. James Patterson, the man himself. There he is. All right, so Violets Are Blue. What's this about? Alex Cross has never believed in vampires. Well, that's different. But when two joggers are found slain in a manner that suggests a macabre ritual, he has to reconsider. Someone believes in vampires enough to have committed a series of bizarre murders that appear to be the work of one. Local police are horrified, and even the FBI is baffled. Cross takes on the case and plunges into a netherworld of secret clubs and role players, a world full of posers and play actors, a world full of demented people enough to have crossed the line from dark ritual to real blood. At the same time, a lethal super criminal from Cross's past, known as the Mastermind, he's back, is stalking him, taunting him, and threatening everything he holds dear. We cannot have that. You would not stand for that. So what's he going to do? How is he going to find the Mastermind? Read the book and find out. Read the book and find out. You know, I'll leave you with this, and I mentioned this primarily in passing, but James Patterson said that back in the day he was a book snob. You know, he read a lot of Dickens. He even liked Jerzy Kosinski's The Painted Bird, which I really, really love, and it influenced his writing style with the very, very crisp writing style, very short chapters, no filler, not a lot of details that bog people down, just true story, excitement, energy, and the urge to pick up another book and keep reading. That's it. I'm shutting up. I have nothing else to say. It's Sunday. I hope you enjoy today. And if you're on spring break, I'm so sorry you have to go back to school and work tomorrow, but make the very best of today. You guys are amazing. Stay cool, please. Never stop reading, and thank you for hanging out with me.